Michigan laying 30.5 points in Ann Arbor. Michigan is minus 10,000 on the money line. Colorado State is plus 2,000 total set. Pretty high, 61 and a hook. It is a noon kickoff on Saturday. Where you got?
Yeah, I'm looking at the over in this one with a slight lean towards Colorado State just because it is a very big spread. I think Colorado State can be a little feisty here. Got a new head coach over from Nevada, Jay Norvell, who was excellent at developing offensive talent. We saw it with quarterback Carson Strong, who was an NFL prospect. And he's done good things for that Nevada program over the past few years. I know it's the first game of the season, but Michigan is missing some key pieces on that defense that was really good last year. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson was a big part of that defense, and now he's playing for the Detroit Lions. And plus, on the Michigan side of the ball, they get an easy matchup against the Colorado State defense that was not good last year. They were a team that was just 3-9 overall. And I think we see Cade McNamara playing for his job because that's what Michigan is doing. They're trying out multiple quarterbacks. This game, it's Cade McNamara who has his chance to prove why he should be the starting quarterback. So I think we see a lot of points in this one.
Yeah, I think I can absolutely see that. And I'm tempted to play that. I don't want to play both bets, but I'm going to take Colorado State plus the points, plus the 30.5, just based on the fact that you mentioned Jay Norvell, and I think he's one of the more underrated coaches in college football. And he brought with him from Nevada, Clay Millen, his quarterback, and a couple of his wideouts, Torrey Horton, Melquan Stovall. And I believe that this CSU team is not getting enough credit because of these transfers that they come in. And I get that, right? Michigan won the Big Ten last year. They kind of caught lightning in a bottle this year, or last year, I should say, while CSU went 3-9. But I like the job Jay Norvell has done everywhere he's gone. So I think this number is too big. I'm going to be on the Rams plus 30.5 at Michigan.
Yeah, I like that. I think I would play both. I think when we see these big spreads, because remember, this is the kind of point spread that UConn was looking at. Mm-hmm. Damn UConn, one of the worst teams in college football last season. I know they're a little better, and I know we're talking about Michigan. So I think you're getting a little bit of the brand name built into this spread because Michigan was so good last year. And I think they're put in the tier of teams like Ohio State, like Alabama, when in fact, I'm not sure if their offense really belongs in that category. Because if it was an offense that was prolific like Ohio State, maybe you could make a case for covering this big of a number. We saw that last night with a team like Tennessee that plays with one of the fastest tempos in college football and also is very dynamic on that offense. So it's not an offense that I'm willing to trust to cover this number, maybe just to score enough points to hit the over.
Let's head down to Atlanta for the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. Number 11, Oregon taking on number 3, Georgia. Georgia minus 175 on the, or minus 900 on the money line, I should say. Georgia laying 17.5 points. Oregon is plus 550. The total set at 52 and a hook. Chelsa, you've got two teams that are essentially in the top 10 going at it, but the defending champions are a monster favorite here. Where are you going?
I think it's too many points, and I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot in week one of the college football season, but you've got to remember it's week one. There are some teams working out some kinks in their armor and also trying to get off on the right foot. So 17.5, I think, is too big of a number for an Oregon team that is expected to be one of the contenders in the Pac-12. Bo Nix, as frustrating as he has been watching him as a quarterback at Auburn over the past few years, he still has a ton of talent. He has a ton of potential. He can certainly at least keep this game maybe within striking distance. I don't think Oregon's going to win this game, but I think 17.5 is too big of a number. In fact, we've already seen the hook come off of this as it's gone down to 17 in some spots already. So this isn't me hating on Georgia. I think they're going to be a great team this year. I just think 17.5 is a little too much for two Power 5 schools going head to head.
Don't you think Dan Lanning, being the coordinator of Georgia last year, has to count for something here? Won't he know Stetson Bennett and the Georgia offense enough to keep Oregon within the number? I feel like that has to be something that, well, you're certainly going to take that into account, but I think it's going to have more of an impact than the line is telling us. I'm surprised this line is so big. And yeah, you can get a little worried with Bo Nix, right? Because we've seen him in the SEC, and there are times he looks like that guy who was always an Auburn kid, looked great, and then times he makes these plays, and you're like, what are you thinking? So He has been in this situation before, however, and this reminds me of last year, Chelsea, when Oregon went into Columbus against Ohio State. Monster underdog ended up pulling off the upset. I don't think we see an upset here, but I do think the Ducks cover this number. Liked it at 17.5. I'll take it at 17. Give me the Ducks plus 17 down in Atlanta. Coming up in 10 minutes, we got to get warmed up just in time for the weekend. We'll try and put some cash in your pocket as we bring you our best bets. And tonight, as the games are unfolding, you can listen to BetMGM Tonight with Quentin Mayo, Ryan Horvath, and Trista Crick. Not only do they react in real time, they also instantly offer their advice for in-game wagering. It's all on BetQL and all available on the Odyssey app. In Fayetteville, number 23 Cincinnati visiting number 19 Arkansas. Arkansas laying 6.5 points. The Hogs are also minus 250 on the money line. Cincy is plus 200 total set at 52 and a hook. Chelsea, I love the Razorbacks here. I don't think they're getting near enough credit. Quietly, they went 9-4 last season overall, 4-4 in the SEC. And the key for them is KJ Jefferson back at quarterback. He can throw, he can run. 27 combined touchdowns last season. And I think Cincinnati is going to have more of a drop-off than we anticipate because they lost Desmond Ridder, because they lost Sauce Gardner. These guys are pros now, and Cincinnati, I think, is getting too much credit here based on what we saw from them last season. I am laying the points with Arkansas.
Love that. Love the Hogs in this spot. A big chance to make a huge statement in their first game of the year, in which Arkansas is expected to maybe be a sleeper in the SEC West. It's an extremely difficult division to play in, but it's strength on weakness here because Arkansas does one thing very well. Last season, they were the number one rush attack of all Power 5 schools, the best rushing offense in the SEC, obviously, as well. And one thing Cincinnati really struggled at last season was stopping the run. That was their one weakness. If they had a weakness last year, it was stopping the run. They had a pretty good secondary. They clearly lose a lot of pieces on this team, but I think that's the weakness that Arkansas is really going to manipulate here. So like KJ Jefferson here, a strong runner in his own right, rushed for over 600 yards last season as a quarterback. So I like Arkansas here at 6. This line's also moved up to 6.5 as we see money coming in on the Hogs.
God, I remember when Texas went to Arkansas last year. What a nightmare that was. I can't stand the Hogs, by the way. This used to be a great rivalry back in the Southwest Conference days, and it's going to be a rivalry again when Texas joins the SEC in 2024. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about that for a couple years, but I do think, like you, that Cincinnati should be worried on Saturday when that game gets underway in the afternoon, a 3:30 kickoff. How about the big one in the Swamp on Saturday night? Number 7, Utah visiting the Gators. Utah laying just 3 points. They are minus 140 on the money line at BetMGM. Florida is plus 115. The total set at 50 and a hook. I know Double D is calling for an upset special. It's only a 3-point spread, but he likes Florida here. Who do you like?
I'm on Utah. I think this is a very solid Utah team that has a starting quarterback returning. They have a 1,000-yard rusher returning in Tavion Thomas. And they also have a veteran head coach in Kyle Whittingham, who's been with the program for a long time. He's been head coach since 2005 and has been on staff for even longer than that. Looking at Florida, they have a first-year head coach in Billy Napier, who I think is a good coach and a great hire, but still, it takes a minute to get your feet underneath you, especially in a game that's a tough matchup for his first game at the University of Florida. This is a Utah team that won the Pac-12 last season. They had the best defense in the Pac-12. They are known for being very physical up front, but the X factor is, are things really faster in the SEC? Will we see a different caliber of athletes when it comes to the University of Florida? And speaking of athletes, Anthony Richardson, a true wild card here, the quarterback for the University of Florida. So when you have that type of talent at quarterback, obviously, I think that home dog could be worth a look, but I would still lean towards Utah in this one, laying the 3 points.
I think Anthony Richardson is going to be an absolute stud. There's no question about that. If you watched him play last year, man, that kid can absolute play. But I think it's too early for that, and I'm with you here. Utah doesn't get the credit it deserves because it's Utah. It doesn't have that sexy brand name like Florida does, but this is a Utes team that welcomes 17 starters back, the defending Pac-12 champions. Yeah, I know, it's the Pac-12, but they hung. They should have won. They should have beaten Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. 17 starters back. They have enough on defense, a very good defense, by the way, to slow down Richardson. And Cam Rising is back at quarterback. He was at Texas for a while, eventually went to Utah, won that starting job. He looked great last year. So this is a jam-packed Utah team. The line scares me a little bit, seems a little short for the number 7 team in the country, but I'm with you. I'm laying it with the Utes. I love what I've seen out of Utah thus far in the offseason and how they put together their team, the guys returning. And Chelsea, you said it. If you like the Utes, the time is now to put some money on a futures bet.
Right, because their odds are going to shorten probably in half if they can go on the road to Florida, an SEC school, and pick up a very hard win. Because I'll say one thing, it's not easy to go to Florida, the swamp, in September and pick up a win. It's going to be a little different than Utah.